Hi, I'm Dr. Craig Wax, family physician and media host. I'm also a patient advocate. Welcome to Health is Number One, the webcast. We've got to deal with COVID-19 coronavirus, so we want to make sure everyone has their opportunity to prevent the disease on an individual basis. Today's topic is telemedicine or telehealth, which basically adds up to the same thing. The time-honored tradition of going to your physician's office, having the staff communicate with you, bring you into a room, take your vital signs, take additional history and medications, and then the physician comes in and then communicates with you and can do physical examination, look at labs, and all of those things. Unfortunately, in a time of world pandemic, we have to be a bit more cautious than that because we don't want to spread disease and we don't want our office staff infected with these things either. So what we've done temporarily, and not to replace in-person medicine in any way, shape, or form, but to add as an adjunct or partial solution is the video chat. It can be done over multiple ways over the internet where you can see your physician and hear them, and they can hear and see you. It also provides some more context than a phone call. So it's useful and helpful, but there are some limitations which we'll talk about later. Now first, it's important to know who you're speaking with and what their qualifications and education are, and do they know your case? Really important. As a family physician, I know people longitudinally, I know members of their family, and while keeping their privacy, I can keep all that information in perspective and know your things that you like and things that you don't like, and explain the risks and benefits to you in a way that's meaningful to you because I have a longitudinal relationship. When I use the word longitudinal, I mean long-term, because generally in the patients in my practice, I've seen them predominantly for 20 years. There are a lot of other services, Teladoc is one, and certain insurance companies encourage people to use others. The issue is they might not know your history, they might not know your usual physical examination, they might not know your family status, because it's a lot to cover in 10 to 15 minutes for sure. You know, with your family physician, they can know most of the things that you've told them over the years and most of the things that they've witnessed, and that usually works well in people's favor. So if you're preparing for a telemedicine or a telehealth visit, whether it's with your family physician, your specialist orthopedist, or a physical therapist, it's important to have things prepared in advance. Number one, know what your primary concerns are. Make a list of no more than 3 things to be covered in that time frame, because there's not a lot of time and we're somewhat limited just by video and sound. You know, we can't do a physical exam in this way. So that's important. So the next thing is to take your vital signs in advance. Your height if you know it, your weight if you took it this morning or in the last few days. If you have a blood pressure meter, it's important to take your blood pressure and provide that. Blood pressure meters also provide heart rate or pulse on there as well. So that's another important thing. And in this day of everybody being concerned about COVID-19 and other infectious entities like influenza A and B, it's important to be able to take your temperature. And unfortunately, we don't have mercury and glass thermometers, which were the standard for 100 years. We have electronic ones, and some are on the forehead, some are placed in the ear, and some go right in your mouth. In any event, it's important to get that number, and it's an easy number to get. And your temperature can change from time to time, so can your blood pressure, your respiratory rate, that is how often you breathe, and your pulse rate, how often your heart beats. So it's an important thing to have a general idea of what your numbers usually are, so then you've got to gather more data. And by all means, write down your vital signs in advance. Also, you'll want to think of how is the doctor or entity getting paid for the visit, because they're providing a useful service that's worth something. Are they accepting your insurance? Is there a copay? Does the deductible apply? Or are you paying a self-rate? Are you calling with a credit card? Are you mailing a check later? Or do you belong to a direct primary care practice where you pay $50 a month for all you can eat, call anytime, and we'll take care of you? So there's a lot of different options for that. With regard to telemedicine, just realize that telemedicine is not a complete substitute for healthcare, but serves as an adjunct or a partial solution for issues when we're all concerned about spreading epidemic disease, or if it's just to check in with regard to your blood pressure, your blood sugar, or how you're feeling today. So as long as you take it with a grain of salt, so to speak, if you can get all of your information together in advance, present it in the best way that you can, allow your physician or other person that you're consulting with to take in the information and ask you questions and decide what he or she also thinks is a priority, you can get the most out of your telemed or telehealth visit. The last thing I wanted to discuss is privacy. You have to be careful because different services have different levels of privacy and security, and we all have different preferences. Some of us will buy anything from anyone on the internet, and some of us will only buy from certain vendors on the internet, and others will only write checks or bring cash and won't use the internet. You have to decide what is best for your privacy and security between you and your physician. Our goal is to get back to in-person healthcare medicine as soon as possible. Until then, we're using telemedicine and telehealth to prevent the spread of this illness. Physicians and staff everywhere are looking forward to seeing you back in their offices and place of work really soon. Until then, let's prevent illness. Let's do the physical distancing. Let's wear masks when we're around other people. Let's have respect for other people's space. But let's get out there and take walks and exercise and take great care of ourselves. And rather than handshake, let's do the Dr. Wax fist bump. We'll see you soon.